Go.
So, obviously this whole story, you've been the guy I've been going to on this show for the last couple of years in discussing the entire Diddy saga. Like, I've had guys come on the show and they have their opinions and stuff, but you've been the main guy I've gone to in unpacking everything, because you are very familiar with the entire story, not just in the last couple of years. You've been following this thing for close to 30 years now. You're a hip hop connoisseur, obviously. We both watched the Sean Combs The Reckoning on Netflix, the documentary that came out, produced by 50 Cent. And it's definitely a lot to unpack there. To be honest with you, I don't know where to start. So here's what I'm gonna do. Rather than this kind of give some like half-ass, full-faceted thing here, let's just go ahead. I'm gonna ask you real quick. What were your thoughts watching this damn thing?
The thoughts were simple. Yes, you're 100% correct. Just to piggyback of what you said earlier, I was there at the peak, 96, 97. So I'm in, of course I'll date myself. I'm in, where am I? 90 high school going into college. Yes. So I'm right
we're the
there.
Same age, I think, right? So I'm 25, so I think we're the same age, right?
There you go. Yeah. So I'm consuming the music. I'm consuming the video. I'm consuming the lifestyle, which is called hip hop. So I'm watching it real time and watching it then putting it together with adult eyes, looking back. There's so many things that I missed because I was too young to understand. So when it comes to Sean Combs The Reckoning, which I thought really should have been called Surviving Sean Combs, but we'll leave that for another day.
Taken.
Yeah, it was already taken already. Surviving Sean Combs. The show put out all these dots, if you will.
Yeah.
Whether it's the City College stampede to Tupac getting shot in the studio in New York City, to Tupac getting killed in Las Vegas, to Biggie getting killed, to some of his artists. These are all dots that have been put out there over a series of 30 years. This is the first time that all the dots, whether it's from a podcast, whether it's from Gene Deal, who was Sean Combs's security from like 89 on, they took all these podcasts, all these interviews, conversations with you. I'm sure you saw a little season there, and that was from a Vlad video. That was from a Vlad interview. Okay. So they took all these interviews and put them together and lined them up really nicely. And at the end of this 4-part series, you come up with the conclusion that Sean Combs, Diddy, Puff Daddy, Love had a pattern of practice. And it's multiple, patterns of practices. Practice number 1, I steal your girl. Pattern of practice. If I want your girl, matter of fact, let me back up. If I think you're better than me when it comes to popularity and you have a girl, I want your girl. I am going to have a pattern of practice of having you join my company and not pay you. Your man Sean Combs not only didn't pay artists their fair shake, if you will, your man didn't even pay the videographer that was recording him, that he was trying to use that footage, the same footage that you see in this documentary right now. He was going to use that as his comeback story when he got out. He did not pay those videographers. Thus, 50 and Netflix had the opportunity to say how much for that footage. It's not Sean Combs. For those that don't know, as a cameraman, as a videographer, if I record you, if I take a picture of you, I own that. I own it. Mm-hmm. I can license it out or I can sell it to you, but I own it. You don't, which is interesting. It's how the laws work, unfortunately. If Jay-Z was walking down the block right now and I took a picture of him, Jay-Z doesn't own that picture. I do. Right. So it's ironic that Diddy, Sean Combs, Mr. Love didn't pay the videographers for that video. The other videos with the City College and your other videos on MTV, those are things that you can license from specific
that's
places.
public,
But
also public. This is where fair media. What do we call it?
fair copyright media. Yes,
right, correct.
Fair copyright media. You have the ability to get that without a problem.
We can use it if we wanted to for
exactly.
So,
but you have it to where this series laid down the foundation of, if you ever had a question of, is Sean Combs a good man? Just ask this. If you're paused, if you're asking yourself, if there was ever a question, it's like, oh, we've heard these things over 30 years. Diddy's the devil. Diddy doesn't do good business. Diddy is this. Diddy is that. You had rumors. You had innuendos. You had sayings. You watch this documentary. How do you end this documentary and say, you know what? I think Diddy got railroaded. I think Diddy, it's not his. He's not accountable for any of these things that have transpired around him. Every decade from 97 on, someone that's connected to Sean Combs or Bad Boy either dies or leaves him.
Or finds Jesus.
Say again?
Or finds Jesus.
Or finds Jesus.
Yeah, they turn their life
and then passes. So
dies anyway.
Finds Jesus, then passes. So you to land the plane a little bit, because we can go on and on. There's so many twists.
Before land the plane, let me ask you a question. Denny Blanco, circa 1996, 1997. What was your perception of Diddy back then? Puff Daddy back then?
I mean, no, he was the greatest. He was the greatest. He was making me dance. He had some of the best music out. I was familiar with him from Uptown, and he was, crafted Jodeci and Mary J. Blige, and then he came out with Bad Boy, and here comes Biggie and Mace, and it was the bee's knees, and Bad Boy was everything. People don't understand, and what people don't understand is when it was a time. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me preface this and then say this. Yep. When I say it was a time, it's usually when I make fun and I joke with my wife, and I'd be like, the 80s was a wild time. It was a time where laws were different, people were different, things were different. No cameras, no cell phones. So it was a different time. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about the 90s, different time. So there's no social media. So you're only going to certain places, your BETs, your MTVs, to get your full-fledged hip-hop culture. And Diddy was at the top. Sean Combs ran New York City radio. If you wanted to be a star in those times, you had to be on the radio. How powerful was Sean Combs between 96, 97, all the way until now? Wendy Williams mentioned some things on the radio at Hot 97, which was one of the number one music, hip-hop radio stations in New York City.
Is it still today?
It is not.
Okay.
However, at that time, you wanted to get on Hot 97 because that was a rocket ship. You out of here. Hot 97, MTV. Right. If you hit any of those avenues, you're out of here.
Right.
Wendy Williams was on the radio, Hot 97, and said, "Hey, Sean Combs is participating in some things that you guys should know." Wendy Williams was fired. Mm-hmm. Had to go down south to Philly, then had to come back up north, and ended up at WBLS. Folks talking about how powerful was he. Even in the documentary, folks was like, shout out to Babs Bunny from Making the Band. Mm-hmm. She looked right in the camera and said, yes, my lawyer looked over the stacks of contracts. He told me this is about fame, not money. There's no money involved. What do you want to do? She signed the contract. And the answer to that, after she signed the contract, it was Bad Boy.
Yeah.
That's how powerful Sean Combs was in the 97, 98, the golden era for some of hip hop. So he had his hands, and he can make things move.
Yeah.
And he could shut shit down real quick.
I don't doubt Diddy's impact as a mogul, as a businessman. in that world, top of the line, probably the greatest, okay, in hip hop history, based on especially what he did, considering, he was largely responsible for Biggie's ascent to the top. Remember, we learned this in the documentary when Andre Harrell fired Puffy. He said, "Okay, fine, but I'm taking Biggie with me." Biggie at the time was not a name yet, so it was Diddy who actually launched Puffy's career. Let's be real about that. It's called Fair and Fair. Where I get confused as a guy who's also loves hip hop, not as much as you, obviously a connoisseur, but certainly in the '90s I was heavily into it. I never understood the Diddy outside of business, of course, the impact musically, because I never found him remotely talented. Like, I never found his moments on songs even interesting. All the songs that he was on, or the albums he created, like Puff Daddy and the Family and all this stuff, I like those songs because of the other people in it, not because of him, because of Mace, because of Biggie, because of, you name it, all the artists, Jodeci 112, you name it. So to me, I've never been a Puffy fan. I've never liked the guy. I've always, at a simple level, I think I stated to Steve before in the past on the podcast, that I've always found him shady anyway. When Big, I remember where I was when Biggie died. I believe I was in junior high school. I was in, I think, first grade, or no, first period, second period, when I found out. And I remember saying to myself, I don't know why, but for some reason, I think Puffy's behind this. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but I always sensed that this dude always, wherever he was, trouble followed. Now, I couldn't attach it to, but it was just my own 17-year-old thinking at the time. You know what I'm saying? Now, as we get, into, fast forward now nearly 30 years later, and all the laundry list of things that's happened since then, I am not surprised whatsoever. In fact, I feel more, I'm probably more surprised more now because of the fact that it's deeper than we realize. And not only that, to me, the most interesting thing of this whole documentary for me, like, I never assumed that he was behind the Tupac murder because, let's be real, Tupac had a lot of enemies. So you can easily make a correlation of Puffy and Tupac, but you can also make a correlation of a lot of enemies in Tupac as well too. So I never really considered that angle in a serious way until watching this, until hearing Keith D and what he said on record. Because now Keith D, the guy who was allegedly charged of murder, but his trial has now been delayed till later next year. And what he said, basically, if I'm not mistaken, verbatim, he said that basically that Puffy's people is the one that okayed the murder. So my question now going forward is this: if this gets out in trial, legally speaking, is there a way to realistically connect the dots to this case to Puffy? I have my doubts because you still have to prove it in court. There's got to be evidence that has to matter, even though we may think this might be the case, but you still need evidence anyway. But my biggest takeaway is that amongst all the things we learned in the Cassie case and all the things, the City College thing that happened, on all the things we learned, my biggest takeaway is that Tupac case, man. There's something there, and that thing's live again.
Well, listen. so many places is a club to you. Okay, so let me back up a little bit for you, and then I'll check off the boxes for you. A lot of people don't know. Some people would think it was Biggie Smalls that pretty much was the runner for Bad Boy, and Bad Boy was the people that are in the know forget about Craig Mack.
Yes, another rising star at the time. Yeah,
Craig Mack was the one that was getting, because Biggie just had party and bullshit. Biggie was bubbling.
Yes,
it was Craig Mack that literally was making Bad Boy. He was the star of Bad Boy first.
So he was the first star of Bad Boy before Biggie.
Craig Mack was the first star. Flavor in Year's out. Flavor in Year remix comes out. Craig Mack is bubbling. And then if you watch, you pay. There's an MTV video. Fab Five Freddy, shout out to Fab Five Freddy,
Remember him too.
pioneers of hip hop, is asking Diddy with Biggie and Craig Mack sitting there. He's asking him about Bad Boy information. Previous to this conversation, Craig Mack has already been told his album's not coming out by Sean Combs. Previous to this conversation, he gets into the interview. Fab is like, Fab Five Freddy saying, hey, listen, Craig Mack's bubbling out in these streets. When's this album coming out? He said, yeah, we working on that album coming soon. And you see Craig Mack's face.
Yeah.
This guy's a liar. This guy's a liar. In the documentary, they said Craig Mack's wife said, yo, this guy asked for money. $100? Something 100 to a billionaire, hundredaire, thousandaire.
To pay some bills.
I'm broke. I'm Craig Mack. Can you give me some dollars? Nah, I'm good. Craig Mack was invited back out for the Bad Boy reunion tour. Calling people out.
10 years after?
Can't Stop, Won't Stop. I believe it was on Apple. So this is like maybe
2017 to 2018, 2016-ish.
Yeah,
right.
Just a couple years back, he had a bunch of his Bad Boy artists come back. He's calling Craig Mack to come. He's like, bro, stop effing calling me. I don't F with you. Click. Oh, this is going to be a big thing. Click. All right? Craig Mack is an example of Sean Combs trying to sweep some things under the rug when it comes to who actually started and pushed his label, which was Craig Mack. Biggie's funeral.
Oh boy, not this one. Oh my God, yes, the funeral and him paying for, and him making Biggie's estate pay for it.
Kirk Burroughs, who everyone suggests is absolutely co-founder of Bad Boy.
And Kirk Burroughs, for the record, is that's the guy that founded with Puffy. People don't know that exactly. Universally
known as a co-founder of Bad Boy, Kirk Burroughs. He was. You would say he was kind of the star of the doc, if you will. He had the most, I think, a time on camera.
I feel like Kirk Burroughs, more than anybody in this entire documentary, is probably the most foundational personality of the documentary. He kind of lays out the lay of the land of what Bad Boy is, and how it operated, and it set the stage for what we will get years later. Honestly, so I agree with you on that.
Kirk Burroughs obviously shared a lot, and he was there, and he said, "Yeah, no, Biggie paid for his own funeral." When I heard that, and a lot of people had cause to pause when they say, "What did he just say?" Wait, hold on. Biggie in death had to pay his own, because that at the time was the most expensive funeral New York City has ever seen.
Yeah,
got the numbers and said, "Hold on, how much is it gonna cost?" This is going to be on Biggie. So this goes to show what kind of man this man is. Now you fast forward to Keefe D. Mm-hmm. Keefe D allegedly was in the car with Orlando Anderson and two others when they shot Tupac, Shakur, and Suge Knight on a busy LA strip. Now, understand something. This was random, meaning the hit per Gene Deal, per Keefe D, was a conversation with Diddy. Diddy said, "I want these guys gotten rid of," and people think that there has to be a lot of definitive words used in these street talks for people to understand what needs to be done. All Sean Combs has to do is be around certain certain Crips, Crips protecting him. Suge Knight's using the Bloods. Okay, I'll use the opposite faction, the Crips. I'll have them as security at my different spots in LA. When I travel to California for business. And then I'll have a meeting and then just basically say, yeah, I need to get rid of these guys. You want me to get rid of Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur? Okay, no problem. There was no date. There was no time limit. It was like, when you do it, you do it. So it just so happened that the fight was on in Las Vegas. Suge Knight, Tupac was there. And Tupac, and God bless, if Tupac was in a tinted car, maybe Tupac's in a tinted limo, maybe he's not dead. But everything surrounding Tupac being out there with the security not having any guns, with him traveling in that car and sticking his hands out and seeing some girls and talking to some girls, and then that being the actual moment where Keefe D is driving down the strip, sees Tupac and says, "There go Tupac right there. Turn around." They killed Tupac. There was supposed to be $1 million payment to Keefe D. The intermediate, what's the word? The middleman. The middleman was Von Zip, who was a Harlem, quote unquote, drug entrepreneur, drug dealer in the streets, who was familiar and friends with Sean Combs. The $1 million check was seen by Gene Deal. He didn't know what it was for, but he saw it. Zip does not pass that money off to Keefe D. He keeps it. Tupac dies. Now, what's interesting is if you pull back a little bit at the Tupac shooting in Quad Studios, again, talking about places where Sean Combs is at, and all of a sudden someone either gets shot, killed, or something bad happens to them. Biggie Smalls, at the time, which people don't know, owns none of his publishing. What does that mean? He owns none of his publishing. Publishing is when you get paid when you write a song. So understand, Ready to Die? Mm-hmm. First album. Biggie doesn't own it at the time. Bad Boy owns it. Diddy owns it. He owns, because obviously Biggie signed initially over some publishing, but had some money issues. So he needed money. So he went to Diddy, said, "Yo, I need some money." Diddy was like, "Well, yeah, sign over some publishing. I'll give you some money." So at the time, Biggie does not own his publishing. But there needs to be a Junior Mafia album that needs to be done. Biggie is writing for everybody. Mm-hmm. Biggie, Lil' Kim, everybody in Junior Mafia. Biggie is writing for everyone. Diddy will get paid if found out that Biggie is writing for everyone. So in this session, Biggie and Junior Mafia, Little C, he's writing for them. And Puff comes to the studio unbeknownst to Biggie. He does not know Puff is there. Puff is on an above floor with Andre Harrell and Jimmy Henchman. Who's Jimmy Henchman? Jimmy Henchman at the time is a manager / street guy who's in the game, who manages a couple of artists. Jimmy Henchman early in the day made some phone calls to Tupac, wants to manage him. He's talking about getting him some money. Who co-signs this conversation? Lance Rivera, who at the time was part of Brooklyn, and he was literally, he repeated this on tape to Vlad TV. He said, Tupac's talking crazy to some guy on the phone. Tupac hangs the phone up. We go, "Who are you talking to like that?" He said, "Oh, some guy named Jimmy Henchman." They said, "Jimmy Henchman? Do you know who that is? What, you gonna have to get some guns? You gonna have to get," he's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm aware." So Tupac knew who he was talking to was not somebody to mess with. So this night at Quad Studios, you have Biggie in one studio writing for Junior Mafia. Then you have Diddy and Henchman and Andre Harrell. You don't think Jimmy Henchman told Diddy what was going to happen to Tupac? A guy he doesn't like. You don't think Jimmy Henchman say, "Yeah, Tupac's on his way over here. He thinks he's coming to get some money, but he's actually going to get robbed. Watch this."
This is the night Pac got shot, right?
in Quad Studios. Correct.
Shot, right?
A lot of people, because they mentioned in the documentary, but a lot of people don't because it wasn't a deep dive into. They thought it was a lot of people think that Diddy set up Tupac. No, not that. Not that time. That was Jimmy Henchman. Jimmy Henchman literally, and this is also too, there's another Dexter Isaac, I think his name is. He basically said he was the one that was sent to shoot, actually rob Tupac. Tupac didn't want to be robbed. They shot him 5 times. Okay? Didn't want to rob, shot him 5 times. So you have this understanding that Tupac knew Jimmy Henchman shot him. But people's like, well, he's pointing to bad boy. He's pointing to bad boy. Jimmy Henchman, Andre Harrell, and Puff. Tupac took the elevator up. Tupac, after he shot, he took the elevator up, and the door opens, and he sees Puff, Andre Harrell, and Jimmy Henchman. Mm-hmm. He basically said in his music, Tupac, Jimmy Henchman, I know what you did. I know it was you. So you have this.
Is that in the hit him up, right? Oh no.
It could be hit him up. It could be it could be in the Machiavelli. It could be a couple places. I just know if you Google Jimmy Henchman, Tupac lyrics, plethora of lyrics will come up mentioning Jimmy Henchman as the guy that shot him. Basically, he's pointing his name out. You sit back. Even the City College. I played for Lehman College. City College in New York City has a basketball team that I played against. So when I played at Lehman, and the first game I had at City College, because the actual stampede happened, I think a year before I joined Lehman. So here I am going to City College for the first time to play in their gym. And I'm going down these steps, and I look at these doors, and I'm seeing these doors. These doors don't open out. They open in.
Right.
So I said, okay. Now I understand what happened that day. Because they described it, and then they showed it on the documentary. When again, how big is hip-hop? People want to know how big is hip-hop back in the day. People want to know. It was a hip-hop basketball game. Only 300, 200 tickets were supposed to be sold.
Right.
5,000, 6,000 tickets.
Right.
He oversold.
Yeah.
Didn't have enough security. They bum rushed the door.
9 deaths.
The doors, everyone's thinking, oh, well, we'll just keep pushing because the doors will go out. Instead, they keep pushing and the doors don't go out. They come, to open the door, you have to open it from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
So you had 9 people die.
Yeah.
Whatever happened, I don't know if there was a payment, so forth. He doesn't get in trouble. Fast forward to Shine getting shot. Shine shooting in the club with J-Lo. Sean Combs does not go to jail. They put that in the documentary too. Mm-hmm. Sean Combs does not go to jail. In that clip, because I know, in that clip, Sean is being interviewed right after he's found innocent. They ask him about Shine. He says nothing.
By the way, Jimmy Henchman, also his real name is James Rosemond. He is currently incarcerated for drug trafficking, obstruction of justice, possessing and using firearms, conspiracy to commit murder for life. He's in prison for life. I'm trying to figure out where exactly he was for what. Nothing attached to, obviously, to anything with Diddy, of course.
Nothing. They got him on a drug conspiracy. He was pushing weight, and he's in jail for life. And he obviously issues with Tupac, issues with 50 Cent.
The death. He's connected with the death of G Unit affiliate Lodi Mac.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, the story with Tupac. Obviously, Tony Yayo,
mm-hmm.
G Unit affiliate,
right,
slapped Jimmy Henchman's son when he saw him. Then Jimmy Henchman decided to shoot up Tony Yayo's grandma's house. Then Jimmy Henchman allegedly had Lodi Mac killed.
Yeah, Diddy's involved with a lot of bad people.
It just so happens that in the 90s and 2000s, again, people with money, drug dealers, are able to get into the game and become owners of labels. And yes, Bad Boy started off with drug dealer money. People think like, oh, is it? No. It started off with drug dealer money, and then he got a loan to push it further. But it started off with drug dealer money. You have Sean Combs avoiding jail, but then Shine doing 10 years. You have a witness get shot in the face, tell everyone Sean Combs shot me. Mm-hmm. Everybody's like, forget about that. That's not important. An eyewitness who's alive telling you who shot them. When in the history of criminality does a witness get shot, take the stand, say that the perpetrator shot them, and the perpetrator gets off? When does it happen?
Right.
Never in life. So you have all these things happening. You have Kurt Burrows also saying that he paid for people to drive cross country to LA. Why not fly? Well, it's easy to carry guns in cars than guns in the plane.
Right.
So Kurt Burrows having the adult eyes now, saying, I think Sean Combs has something to do with Biggie's murder. Well, yes.
Are you of the opinion that, okay, that's a two-part question. Are you the opinion that Puffy has something to do with Tupac's murder?
Yes.
Are you the opinion that he has something to do with Biggie's murder?
Yes. And the reason why I say yes to both of those things is because, number one, Suge Knight saying something very peculiar on one of his podcasts, saying, if you solve one murder, you solve the other. Why would he say that?
Did he say that in jail? Because he's been doing interviews in jail recently.
Yes.
I know Patrick David actually had him on his podcast, I think, last year.
Yeah, I watched that one.
I didn't watch it, but I need to watch it now, especially.
I watched that one. I watched the most two recent, the Patrick Bet David and the one with Breakbeat.
Okay.
Those two. Very, very interesting phrasing statements. One of them saying, solve one crime, you solve the other. Why would he say that?
Right.
Meaning, also, too, shout out to the LAPD. Mm-hmm. Your hands are all over this, and you're avoiding it. You're avoiding it because you'd be found liable. Your hands are all over this because you had former LA police officers working security detail for death row. Mm-hmm. So going back to the original point with Sean Combs, yes. Keefe D mentioning Sean Combs. Why? Little C's mentioning, I know Keefe D. Okay. So it's not like Keefe D is lying. He's talking about places. He's talking about times. Okay. Keefe D talking about places and times. Then you have also too with Tupac. It lines up beautifully too. It's called, if I'm on the side of, so for example, if I'm on death row and I'm security and I want Tupac to die, the easiest thing I can do is pull a security. So he's left without security.
Right.
A lot of people don't know this. The week before Tupac died, he fired his security, head of security, Reggie Wright, and he fired his lawyer, Kenner. Fired both. Now, people would say, well, what would these two guys benefit if Tupac died? Well, Kenner, number one, he signed the contract, and he was also involved with death row. So that's monies that he's going to be involved in with Tupac and how he signed his contract, and how obviously Tupac had like maybe a 5-6 album deal, and he was like 4 or 5 albums in already because of his penmanship. So he was like, well, he's going to already be out of his contract. We're not going to make any money off of him anymore. Motive number one. Then you ask for Reggie Wright Jr. If Suge Knight's already in jail at this moment in time for the assault in the Las Vegas, who's running death row? Well, Reggie Wright would be running death row with Suge Knight's ex, who was about to take over death row. So if I'm Reggie Wright and I'm involved with his Tupac security, pull the security and let Tupac survive. Which everyone knows was a hit on his head, money on his head. Fast forward to Biggie, dereliction of duty. So September 96, September 9th, 8th, Tupac dies.
Yeah.
You guys have been going back and forth for months. Back and forth, back and forth. I hate you, you hate me. Whether it's like, oh, well, Bad Boy was quiet on it and Tupac was, whatever the case may be. Y'all going back and forth. People were dying behind the scenes, back and forth. Sean Combs, you decide that you need to go to LA for business. 6 months later in March. Everyone's saying, no, bad idea. You're not going to be protected. It's just not good. Gene Deal. Sean Combs security for the weekend. You can Google his name. You can Google on YouTube. He breaks down that whole weekend. He says Kurt Burrows told him, which is very surprising that he was on this documentary. Kurt Burrows told Gene Deal, Biggie's not going anywhere but the studio and to the house. That is it. He's not hanging out. He's not going anywhere. Cool. And also, too, Biggie broke his leg, so he wasn't really mobile like that. But when he was out in LA, Gene Deal was taking, and this is not just Biggie, this is Puffy too. Like, he's not going to go anywhere. He's working on his album. He's going from the album, the studio, to home. Diddy's running around everywhere. And everywhere, Gene Deal is saying it's just heat. It's just hot. People are just looking really upset, like we're there. He talks about a time.
Gene Deal is the security guard, right?
Security guard for Sean Combs out
so
there.
He wasn't on this doc.
He was not.
However, he was on the Peacock doc though.
There you go.
Which I'm currently watching right now.
He was on. He's been talking for over a decade. He's been talking for over a decade about what he saw that day. He's been talking for a decade for what he saw that day, and his story hasn't changed in years.
Yeah.
Years. He's gone to different podcasts.
Because there's one thing that Gene Deal said on the... Actually, to be honest with you, to your point, Gene Deal's stories are actually the best part of the Peacock Diddy documentary, because there's one story about how, like, supposedly Diddy had his mom got into it, and he said something to his mom, and Gene Deal told Diddy, apologize to your mother, you don't do that shit ever. Disrespect. And he apologized to his mom, obviously. By the way, I feel like his mom knows more shit than we realize.
Absolutely.
I think his mom is. I'm not gonna go as far as say she's involved in all this stuff, but she knows where some bodies are buried. Absolutely.
When again, there are questions that Sean Combs can't answer on camera. And for those that are in the know, I have so many questions that I could just off top throw out there where he won't be able to answer because it'll be crazy. Why, Sean Combs? Why did you lie and tell Valletta Wallace that you didn't know who Gene Deal was? Mm-hmm. Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because you know who Gene Deal is.
So
he's in pictures with you.
Yeah, he worked with Diddy until 2001, I think. He's
in pictures with you the night you and Biggie are at the Soul Train Awards right before he dies.
Mm-hmm.
There's a picture of him right there. Okay? You have Gene Deal literally saying we have multiple signs that someone was going to come after us. Multiple. So whether they were to come after Diddy, Biggie, both, doesn't matter. The concept is, did Diddy know? Maybe not. For Biggie anyway. Maybe not. But it's called dereliction of duty, where you should be protecting your main star. You should have had him surrounded by 50 people. Gene Deal also goes on to say that Diddy's main bodyguard, stayed back in the Bronx. Wolf.
Does Gene Deal, and I'm not saying this is a fact or not, but does he have an axe to grind towards Diddy?
Again, there's no money owes. There's no money owed. There's no album. There's no. Gene Deal's just a guy that's saying, hey, I seen some shit. This is what happened. I never liked the guy. And once again, if you take a minute to think about ramifications and who's allowed to say what and why.
Right.
Sean Combs can't quiet Gene Deal. Why? Because Gene Deal knows guys that protected Sean Combs.
Right. So what you're saying that Gene Deal could be a smoking gun.
Gene Deal, again, he's the one that's connecting the dots of what's going on in the background. Mind you, take a minute to think about all the people that actually either got away from Diddy or said no to Diddy. There's only a handful. Gene Deal, when I say got away from Diddy and is literally saying things about Sean Combs, not caring about what happens to them because they're in a particular position, think about the position that they're in. Gene Deal, basically OG, knows all the OGs surrounding Diddy, so Diddy can do nothing with him. Mace left, didn't come back, didn't sign anything, no NDAs, no nothing. He talks about Diddy, and he's comfortable talking about Diddy. Then you have Cassie's husband. Your man literally has verbalized saying things about Diddy and literally said, if you want some, come get some. And I said, well, why is he not going after him? Clearly, this guy knows how to handle himself. This guy is a trainer. He knows certain things. So it's clear that there's no pushback to him. So when it comes to Diddy, you best, and my last point in that, 50 cents.
Right.
The hip-hop community has a strange way of holding ourselves accountable. They're asking why 50 would do this.
I was going to ask you that too also. What is it? Like, I kind of know, but tell the folks here exactly why 50 do this in the first place.
Whether he has an axe to grind or not. So whether it's the fact that Diddy tried to take him shopping, whether it's the fact that Diddy, to him, 50 Cent has always been weirdo, the fact that Diddy took 50 Cent's baby's mother and is literally at this moment in time in the present day paying her rent. Yes, 50 has an axe to grind. Can two things be true?
I mean, that's what they're saying. 50's a great guy either, for the record.
Can two things be true?
Correct.
50 has an axe to grind, and Diddy has multiple things that we can create a documentary on. And it's funny too, because 50 was on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
Talking to Robin Roberts, and he's like, yeah, the pattern of practice for Diddy is he'll steal your girl. He mentions Sarah Chapman, who used to date Tupac. He has a baby with Sarah Chapman. He mentions that, but clearly doesn't mention his own mother of his child being one of Diddy's go-tos when it comes to these freak-offs.
Right.
EJ, how much is your soul worth?
Yep.
And I don't ask this facetiously. I ask this seriously. I ask my brother all the time, like, good sir, there are things that happen in the world. People do things. People accept things. Those people have a line, a limit.
Right.
So when I ask people, I'm just like, well, how much is your soul worth?
Right.
These people are allowing sexual deviance to be their job, if you will. It's their job. And they're comfortable being shared with other men for a certain amount of money. How much is that money worth for your soul? 2 million? 10 million? How much? Then you have to ask yourself for the conversation of, oh, well, there people are saying, well, and I'll quote these folks. These people are saying, oh, well, these men or people, women, whoever allowed him to do that, they're suckers too. Yeah, they're suckers, but you have to understand, if the victim has fear, if I'm an accountant for Sean Combs and I see a Cassie getting beat up, or if I'm a manager, whatever the case may be, and I see Cassie beat up and I want to have a career in this business, what do I do, EJ? Some would say you quit.
Yeah.
You know, my morals, ethics, and values a little higher than his job. I'm going to quit. I applaud you. I applaud anyone that has any morals, ethics, and values that could do or make those types of decisions when it comes to them and their families. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's the easiest thing. You know what I compare it to?
What's that?
I compare it to that lone Mexican man on that toll bridge. It's one Mexican man on that toll bridge. Here comes a drug dealer with 5 million pounds of cocaine. And he gets to that toll and tells that Mexican man, hey, how much you make a day? Matter of fact, stop it. How much you make a month? I make $100. You make $100 a month? I'll give you $2 million to look away. Are we expecting that Mexican man to say no to that offer? No.
Mostly no. Yeah, mostly
Put
no.
10 people in a room, pose that question. I think over 50%, 60% would say, I'm taking that offer. So when I look at these security,
some say they wouldn't. Some say wouldn't blame him either. Some would say they wouldn't blame him.
Some would, exactly.
Based on his lifestyle where he's at. Right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Exactly. So when you look at these people that are in PR working for Diddy, people that are security working for Diddy, asking, well, why didn't they leave? It's Bad Boy. It's Diddy.
Well, that applies that applies to Cassie especially because she's one of the hottest of the whole thing too. Also, they were together 8 years, this kind of thing. I mean, am I wrong for saying to myself that two things be right here, as you said before, that yes, Cassie was absolutely a victim, but also Cassie is also not completely innocent either?
Yes.
Is that
yes. So some folks will call it what is it? Victicipant?
Right.
Victim and participant. Victicipant.
That's good. I've never heard that before, actually. Victicipant. I've never heard that before. Interesting.
Victim, but
participating.
You know, so two things can't be true in that aspect. And then also to understand, she met Sean Combs at 19.
Yeah. So she was groomed.
19. I don't know about you, EJ, but there are people that are weird. There are people that, for example, wouldn't want to buy a brand new sneaker, for example. They want maybe a used sneaker. So I say that to say, Eric Sermon, I got to have Misa. Kim Porter, who was attached to Russell Simmons, Andre Harrell, I'll be sure. I have to have Kim Porter. J-Lo, I got to have J-Lo. And that's probably the only girl that wasn't attached to another man. J-Lo was one that got away, and she was able to get away because she was able to stand on all 2 feet. She was J-Lo at the time. It wasn't like she was Cassie looking for footing in the industry.
By 99, she's already a made person. So
on the 6, she's out of here with TV and music. So she's able to get away. Then here comes Shara Chapman. Here comes
making a band.
There you go. Here comes well, that's a different Sarah, but that's a Sarah for making the band, but there was conversations about that. But the Sarah Chapman, who was connected to Tupac, she comes into play. Then you have Cassie. Then you have 50 Cent's baby mom. All of these things going on, people in that time span decided, hey, the abuse is the abuse. I can handle it for only so much. And are we to sit here and say that Sean Combs wasn't abusive to every woman in his life? Are we going to sit here and assume that Misa, quote unquote, hiding under cars, Kim Porter, quote unquote, nose broke? Are we to assume that this guy is not violent towards women? Interesting enough, too. Then you got the Kid Cudi situation with the car.
Yes, that's another one. So that came out of nowhere. The Kid Cudi situation.
You know, also too, there's a executive that committed suicide. Excuse me. There's an executive that committed deletion, if you will, self-deletion. Shakira Stewart. Okay. You're probably asking, why are you bringing up this guy's executive, Shakira Stewart? Why is it? He was just so happened to be dating Kim Porter at the time. All of a sudden, you're dating Kim Porter, and then you end up dead. That's interesting. Kim Porter is supposed to drop an album, drop a book. Supposed to drop a book, supposedly. She ends up dead.
This is after, well, after you got divorced, right?
Kim Porter's supposed to drop a book, she ends up dead. It's just interesting. EJ. Mm-hmm. EJ. Who was the guy Diddy brought to Kid Cudi's house to remove all footage from him being there? Kid Cudi had a security system, in-house, out-house.
Right.
No security footage. Where did it go?
Do you? And this is based on the story from his assistant. What was his name again?
Capricorn, if I'm not mistaken.
Capricorn, right? Capricorn. Yeah.
Footage just disappears, just gone. Right? You have to
another made guy. Kid Cudi is another made guy too. Also, at this point,
you have to understand, man. This guy, Sean Combs, has a history of doing people dirty, a history of whether it's business in real life. He got off very, very light, in my opinion. And for me, there is no coming back from this. If I was his PR, there would be an attempt. I can attempt to spin this very easily. You want to let's play a game. I'm Diddy's PR, and here I am. He's out of jail. Diddy would love to come to your shows to talk to you about how much of a drug, how much of an addict he was. Because they mentioned in the documentary, he hurt his hand somehow. Whether he hurt his hand fighting Kim Porter, whether he slit his wrist, whatever the case may be, he hurt his hand. And that's where some drug use started. Painkillers.
Should I be surprised, by the way, that they didn't dive more into the Kim Porter story with her passing? They never touched it, actually.
So broad stroke. But again, these are dots that are all being connected very slowly.
As you said on the text, that the thing you love about the documentary more than anything else, that it connected so many dots that we hear this story and this story, but this thing kind of brought everything together.
They asked, well, how does a guy get shot with Suge in Atlanta with Sean Combs there? And everybody said it was Sean Combs and did it. And then on video, Mark Curry said, no, it wasn't Sean Combs. It was a guy who shot Jake, Suge Knight's man. Because, and you know what's funny too, EJ? Mm-hmm. Majority of these times, from every time I read the stories, the issue's over a woman. The issue is over a woman.
Whether it's Cassie, whether it's Kim Porter, whether it's yeah,
she's mine. I know she doesn't look like she's mine, but she's mine. I know I don't treat her like she's mine, but she's mine.
Right.
So stay away from her. No, I'm not staying away from her. Okay, now we have problems. Even though this is crazy, right? Think about this. Mm-hmm. I'm Sean Combs. I take other women from men, but you can't touch my woman.
Right. Well, it's the whole like I'm God. He thinks he's God. He thinks he's untouchable.
You know what also is interesting? When 50 Cent on Good Morning America said something that was very interesting. He said, why didn't he claim bankruptcy?
Who did he?
Very good question. He said he's very good question. And he wasn't prompted. He was talking about something else, but then he just brought it up. Like, yeah, why didn't he just go bankrupt? Protect himself. Mm-hmm. He said, because I'm not paying. He said, I'm not paying. He said, that goes to the ego. Right now, Sean Combs has over 70 lawsuits. 70? Is he going to pay all of them off? Who knows? Maybe. He has enough money. You know how many lawyers he had for this last trial?
What, 6 or 7?
7.
Like OJ shit, man. Like the dream team.
The government had no hope. This guy had the dream team of the 7, Avengers 7. And he's talking to them too on the doc. He's like, yo, you guys, I need you to get somebody in the social medias to start talking about, you know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing too. Also, too. And here's the thing: you say his career, his life is pretty much done. We say that, and I agree with you. And certainly on a mainstream level, I do agree. But at the same time, there are people out there who do still, especially in the world now where there's a lot of like people who are into the the far left, far right, not political. I'm just saying this to like a conspiracy theories and whatnot. That there'll be people who will say, well, this guy was, whether or not he's black or whether or not he's been wronged. There will be a base out there that'll look at Diddy as being wronged, and it's all bullshit. Not a big base of that, but it's still a base.
Listen, again, Diddy was an addict. Diddy was hooked on drugs. He wasn't himself for years. This is what literally could be said. And it wouldn't be far-fetched. You can easily say that. Yeah, he was addicted to multiple of drugs, cocaine, ketamine, all the above. He was addicted. There was not one day he wasn't high on alcohol in his later years, 100%. And that led to a domestic violence situation with a 10-year relationship with Cassie. Mm-hmm. You can't say, not you, EJ, but general public can't say you've never heard of a domestic violence situation before. You've never heard of men and women fighting each other. You've never heard of men and women, a man beating up his wife, his girlfriend, and the girl going back and then forgiving him and doing the cycle all over again. We've heard of this before, right? Just so happens that Sean Combs is on camera, okay? And let's be clear. If Sean Combs never left New York City and all these prostitutes were based in New York City, he's not in jail.
Right. Because of the laws, right?
If he just stayed in the city, he's traveling to Turks and Caicos, LA, Paris, London. He's flying people in. You can't fly, literally.
That's trafficking, right?
The laws stated you can't traffic in. They literally said you can't traffic in your party favors. You can only get them from locally, domestically. So in essence, Sean Combs could have literally just stayed home in New York, made sure there was a New York native that came to him and did the do business. That's what basically the law is saying. Like, oh, he trafficked them across state lines. So if he doesn't traffic them, he's fine. Oh, okay. So somebody who's a Diddy defender can easily be like, he was on drugs. And let's be clear that the domestic violence, yeah, you're right. It's past statute of limitations in California because he paid for a tape to disappear. You're right. So, yes, Diddy can come back and literally come back on a groveling tour. People love second, third, fifth chances. Does he deserve one? I don't know. That's not for me to call. Would I give him one? No. He's had multiple chances to prove to us who he really, truly is.
Well, I've been on the fuck Diddy train since 1997. So, I mean, you already know my answer to the question. I never liked the guy. In fact, I remember watching Making the Band and that whole cheesecake scene, him going to Brooklyn. I found that shit disgusting, in my opinion. I don't give
Do you know who made Sean Combs Waffle Cheesecake?
Say it again?
Heavy D. Heavy D.
Are you serious?
Heavy D, for those that don't know, it's a star in Uptown.
Yep.
One of the pioneers of hip hop, if
you
will.
Love Heavy D. Love Heavy D.
And Mount Vernon's own Heavy D. Mm-hmm. And Diddy was his intern. And he, obviously Heavy D's holding down Uptown. So he made Diddy run around. Watch this, do that. And yeah, go get me some cheesecake.
What, 8 miles?
It was just an errand.
Oh,
it wasn't anything like
that's
it
different. That doesn't mean shit. But
exactly.
They went to but supposedly they went to Brooklyn.
That tells you everything you need to know when it comes to what Sean Combs experienced and what he was going to put on everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just went to a local store to get some cheesecake. I'm going to have you walk in the cold to get cheesecake. I'm going to have you walk in the cold.
No, him doing it, being an intern, Heavy didn't make him do that back in 91, whatever. That's expected. You're an intern. You're supposed to do that.
It is. And even then, the concept was it's Bad Boy.
Yep.
It's Bad Boy. It's Diddy.
It goes back to what you said earlier. What do you willing to sell your soul for?
The soul's the important part, because you can sell your soul, then wake up and realize you sold your soul, then want it back.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people have realized with Diddy. I sold my soul to the devil. I want it back. Mace said, I want it back. Locke said, I want it back. I want it back. I don't want anything to do with Bad Boy. You've got what you got. Now it's time to move forward. And
is there anything in this doc that they didn't touch on that you wish they did? Or do you feel like everything based on what you know was at least addressed?
Well, enough time. So when it comes to time, because you never know, there may be a part 2. You never know, there may be a part 2. So when it comes to time,
what else can you put in part 2 though? What else can you put in there that hasn't been touched on? I mean, Kim Porter maybe is one part. Maybe get the Tupac stuff with Keith D. Maybe, I don't know.
EJ.
What else can you put in there?
EJ. The Sean Combs carcass.
Right.
The Sean Combs carcass can be fed on for generations, okay? Whether you want to talk about strictly the CUNY incident, that could be 3 hours. You want to talk about the Kim Porter scenario, that could be 3 hours. Mm-hmm. You want to do a deep dive on Biggie, that could be 3 hours. When you say, oh, well, what else can you do? Well, you can ask other questions that nobody's asking. Like, why does the LAPD, why is the FBI saying the LAPD has something to do with Biggie's murder?
I wonder if Cash Patel is going to dive into this shit heavy now. The Trump administration, the Trump-led administration, FBI is going to, push. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Why? And mind you, these are things that I'm not creating. You can ask.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You can ask Copilot. You can Google it. Mm-hmm. FBI Carson.
Yes.
Carson is Agent Carson. Literally on audio said the LAPD had something to do with Biggie's murder. They were hiding evidence connecting Rafael Perez, who was an LAPD officer who ended up being a bank robber, to death row with pictures. Why would the LAPD hide those pictures?
Right.
So these are things when you say what else can be pulled off of Sean Combs' dead carcass.
Right.
Multiple of things. And you'd be surprised, EJ, what people remember when they get a check. So you know what? I do remember that night where I never said it, but I'm saying it now. Yeah. You got a bag, and now it's time to say what we all know, or say what connect the dots to this particular thing. So some people don't know how Kim Porter died. Go ahead, talk to me.
I'm surprised no one's ever just you said carcass. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm surprised no one ever said this. Is this a possibility that Diddy either, not to get a little gruesome here, either offs himself, number one, or two, someone kills him?
No, neither.
Why?
When you have an ego, I don't even know what me and my wife have this, go back and forth all the time about ego, a man's ego.
Yeah, of course.
Go back and forth. And I compare it to 45, if you will. 45 and 47. I don't say his name. If you don't know who 45 and 47 is, just Google 45 or 47 and his picture will come up.
It's the commander in chief.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. 45 and 47 never apologizes, even when he's wrong.
Yeah.
It's ego. We don't say sorry over here. For what? You do remember Sean Combs literally having the words, Cassie got beat up by Sean Combs, had a PR team come out and say, this is a lie. This is not true. This is not. And then
the
video drops. And then he's on camera saying, I'm disgusted with myself. Not, I'm sorry for beating up my girlfriend. Hello, ego.
Yep.
Instead of saying, I'm sorry for beating up my girlfriend, Cassie, you did not deserve this. He said, I'm disgusted with myself.
I did a podcast on that same week, ripping him for that shit.
Who's that?
I did a podcast that same week, ripping Diddy for that shit. For what for him not apologizing to him. Yep.
I laughed. When he said, when the PR team came out, I was like, this is not true. I laughed. I said there better not be a tape. I said there better not be a tape. And lo and behold, bloop, tape drops, and I'm just like, all right. Lawsuit comes after. I'm like, all right. What you're gonna just say that's artificial intelligence, Sean? You and your towel running down the hallway, artificial intelligence? And then again, how much is your soul worth? EJ, I work at the hotel. I see a woman who's been battered. What do? I call my manager, not 911. I call my manager. And what does my manager do? Comes in and says, keep this on the low. And that, my friend, $100,000, that's how much their soul was worth. $100,000? They clearly didn't know who Diddy was. They didn't know. Because if they knew, that tape would be $1 million plus. If they knew. So the carcass of Sean Combs can be picked at for long periods of time.
Right.
You think this trial coming up with Keefe D? Hello? The story's not over. Sean Combs' name may come up again. It doesn't seem like they're giving Keefe D a plea deal.
I wonder if they're gonna if he's being protected as much as he could, because Keefe D could be the one that blows up this whole fucking thing.
And also, too, when it comes to the law and the government, people talk about laws. It's funny when I hear about laws. So, you say this is a law, but if the government breaks its own law, what is that? I say that because every time I'm being told this is law, the government circumvents the law and says, oh, no, we can circumvent that.
Yeah.
Meaning, if Keefe D was speaking to Greg Kading under a proffer agreement, proffer means king for the day, meaning in the justice system terms.
Yeah.
The government can come to you and say, you need to tell us every crime that you did. If you lie, it was a plea deal. It was a plea deal. That's why he actually got out of jail. He was going to jail. Keefe D was going to jail for drugs for a period of time. Right. They said, we don't want to give you life. We'll give you a plea deal, but you have to tell us everything. So he's like, all right, I'm going to jail for drugs. All right, well, you know, we were involved in the Tupac shooting. He's supposed to have immunity.
But he doesn't know.
My question would be, how does he not have immunity in the proffer agreement, but then you're charging him for something that was said in the proffer agreement? That is what I get confused about when it comes to laws and everything. So when it comes down to this trial, I'll be paying attention. I'll be watching. I'll be looking to see what happens. But I need to understand why that proffer agreement wasn't agreed upon when it comes to his immunity. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Just right now, he was granted bail. Actually, hold on. He was granted bail and a house arrest. Wait, is he's still in? Wait, no, never mind.
He's still in jail.
He's still incarcerated. He's still in jail. He's
still in jail. He's going to be in jail till his trial.
Right. Yeah, he was granted bail, house arrest, but he remained incarcerated. Okay, I'm trying to find out anything in terms of the proffer here. I don't see anything.
Yeah, he had the proffer originally because it was a drug. It was a drug charge, from what Craig Kading said, which I don't trust. But
so the trial got pushed. The trial got pushed to later next year, right? It was supposed to start in February of 2026, but it got moved to later next year, right?
It got moved because the government is planning. The government is planning.
It's so ridiculous. Like they could and the optics alone tells you the D documentary and all this shit, and now they're gonna move it this conveniently now. Like, and they don't even give a fuck. Like, okay, well, we know it looks bad, but we're the government, so fuck you. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. It makes no sense.
Also, too, you move it down too, because you can easily take this information that's in this doc and put it into the trial.
Yeah, that's part two.
You could easily take which they're doing now in the justice system, taking your music lyrics, taking your videos on Instagram, on YouTube, and putting it in your trial, and saying, look, this is what's been going on. This was a show on Netflix talking about the Tupac murder, and here is X talking about it. Or here's Vlad TV, here's X talking about it.
Has Diddy has they sued Netflix yet for this?
Has Diddy tried to sue Netflix?
I'm sure he's going to, but I haven't seen anything.
I haven't. He will not, because there's nothing to sue.
Right.
He won't. I'm sure his lawyers. You have 7 lawyers. They're going
to find.
They're going to try to look at some. You know, you're the professionals. He's telling them you're the professionals when it comes to this. Okay. You have no leg to stand on. You didn't pay the videographer that owns the footage. Mm-hmm. It's gone. You don't own it.
You fucked up.
You fucked up. Oh, wait, and then also too the concept of Diddy not paying somebody for services, is that new? Come on, that's not new. That's par for the course.
The guy that was initially thought of the guy that killed Tupac, Orlando Earnestly. I just realized he got murdered 2 years later.
No, he didn't. Yeah, he got murdered 2 years later. He wasn't. It was a totally different, separate incident. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't. He just so happened to get beat up that day.
He's related to KPD. Holy shit.
He has his cousin from a nephew. I think it's his nephew. Yeah,
no, uncle, nephew, uncle. Right, no, uncle. Right.
Nephew, uncle. Yeah. So everybody in that car.
As you can see, I'm not. Mm-hmm.
Everybody in that car. Everybody in that car that was allegedly there that her murder happened is dead except Keefe D. The 3 other guys are dead. There was 4 guys in the car, including Keefe D. Keefe D's the only one still alive. So
you know what's bad when in this documentary, Suge Knight is the good guy. Comes off as the good guy anyway. Then fucking Diddy. That's crazy.
You know no. Because it's vantage point. I'm in 97, 98. I'm in college. I'm in high school. I see this big brute red in red come on stage talking about if you're tired of guys being in the videos.
In the videos and dancing.
All in the videos dancing. Come to death row. I said, come on. We don't need that. I'm sitting there like, yo, why are you bullying us? Come on. Why you? I'm sitting there watching these things happen, and I'm just like, hold on. Does Suge have a point? Again, a point when it comes to Sean Combs. Gene Deal said out his mouth, Suge Knight wanted to squash the beef between both factions. Sean Combs did not. There was supposed to be a meeting that happened between everybody up top. Send your representatives. Let's squash this beef. Gene Deal, out of his own mouth, said Sean Combs wasn't with it. Okay, so he plays. What happens is he plays nice in front of you, turns his back and says, F you. That's what he does. So here I am as a youngin. I'm like, yo, why is Tupac? Okay, he gets shot, right? Then he comes out of jail, obviously, and then he's on his bad boy this, bad boy that, right? And I'm asking myself, I'm like, oh, younger Denny. I'm like, why is he tripping? Biggie didn't shoot you. Why are you tripping? I don't know the backstory. I don't know that Biggie saw one of Jimmy Henchman's goons, Haitian Jack, hanging out with Tupac. Biggie tells Tupac, yo, them guys over there is no good. Instead of Tupac just internalizing that and keeping his head on the swivel, he goes and tells those guys what happened. And you know what those guys did? They went and then robbed Biggie.
Right.
I don't know these things as a youngster. I don't know when Tupac says, I took 5 shots, you copy my style. I sit back and you sit back and you watch these documentaries. That's why it's called Connecting the Dots. Kirk Burroughs literally saying, we studied Tupac. Mind blown.
Yeah.
He literally said, we studied the Get Around video. I Get Around. We studied it. We wanted to take the style, the energy, everything. And then Juicy happens. Then you put I Get Around and Juicy, and you put them side by side. This is exactly the same barbecue, people dancing, having a good. I said, who wore Versace first? Tupac.
Who you bigger fan of? Who you bigger fan of, Biggie or Tupac?
Who am I a bigger fan of? Wow, I don't think I can answer that because I was a fan of both. Because I can't really give you Tupac. It was not only music; it was acting. So I'm torn between choosing.
Here's the thing for me. I've always been a bigger fan of Biggie. East-West thing. I always go East, come to New York, blah blah blah. But it's clear that Tupac was the bigger star because of movies, the Poetic Justice, and all these things he was doing. Biggie was probably the more cred, I guess, in the hip hop because of the what he's doing. We both massive losses, man. You slice it. But I was someone who didn't really care for Tupac until years after his passing. I appreciate Tupac now in hindsight. In real time, I didn't like him because I thought he was some arrogant, troublemaker, not understanding the dynamics in play that I know now. Obviously, I regrettably, it would have changed course. I had known this, but yeah, Tupac was very misunderstood.
Tupac was very misunderstood. So you look, you see, I'm Tupac. I'm doing my thing. I see a guy who I see as a snake, but no one else sees as a snake. 50 Cent, looking at Diddy. I see a guy who's a snake. Everybody loves this guy. He's Sean Combs. I see him as a snake. I see him as a dirtball. I do not see this guy as someone to even be around. And you hear the things he's saying about how Diddy is playing both sides of the fences when it comes to his sexuality. You hear Tupac say stuff like, you took my style, and then you look back and it's like, oh, everybody confirms his Sean Combs' style is literally pulled from Tupac's. So it's just like, why are you taking my style? Why don't you have your own?
Yeah.
In that time period, you had to be different. You had to be. You could not call it. They called it biting. They called it copying. They called it.
Right.
You could not. You could not do it. You didn't have. You didn't have the concept right now in today's rap game of having a rapper called D.A. Baby and Little Baby would not happen. Someone would have to take away the baby. It'd have to be only one baby back in the day. So when you have people biting your style, you damn near have people fighting because of people taking the Nas baby photo, Biggie baby photo. Like everybody's using baby photos for their albums, and people's like, yo, you can't do that. Don't bite. That caused beef. So here's a guy that literally is taking my whole style of who I am,
right? And
no one sees it. That'd be very frustrating. So I as an adult, I get it. Understand that these boys were 26 years old. They were babies. 26, 23, 24. When they lost their lives, they were babies. They were babies.
Pac was what, 24, 25?
24, 25, 25,
yeah.
I think. Baby. Same thing with the freaking Nipsey Hussle. Baby.
25. Yeah, 25 years old when Pac died. My God.
They were babies.
You forget that shit, bro.
Yeah, they were babies. They didn't even get the chance to live their lives.
Let me ask you this question. Say they never die. Say they continue their career. Everything is as is. You could be. Let's forecast 10 years after 2006. Let's forecast 15 years after 2011. Where is hip hop then? Is Pac and Biggie still at the forefront?
If neither of them pass,
yeah. Let's say they stay alive. This stuff, all this stuff around it, calms down, and Biggie, I guess, maybe leaves Big Bad Boy, because remember the rumors that his contract was up the year after he passed. Where is hip hop, you think, 10, 15 years later?
Hard to say. It's hard to say where it is. I just know that the Marvel change of the timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
The snapping of the Thanos finger and the timeline change. It affects other people's careers more than theirs.
Jay-Z. It affects DMX. It affects Ja Rule. It affects. I think it may affect. Well, Eminem. I think Eminem's still big no matter what, because Eminem, being white and being Dre's guy, still finds a way to puncture that hole.
But when those names, Ja Rule, DMX, Jay-Z, anybody that was in New York that was trying to be the man and get their career off the ground, it would have been very interesting. Who's to say that they all don't collab together? Who's to say that they make, who's to say Jay-Z and Biggie don't have they were going to form the commission and have a full album? Him, Biggie, Jay-Z, Charlie Baltimore, the commission, kind of like the Firm with Nas, AZ, Carmega, and Foxy Brown.
Mm-hmm.
You never know where it could have gone, and that's the thing about the hip hop timeline.
But would you agree that, say 10 years later, that Pac and Biggie are probably still the two biggest names in the genre? Would you co-sign that?
Yes, I'd co-sign that, because I wouldn't imagine Tupac not getting more movie roles.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't imagine that.
Yeah, first of all, Pac was marketable anyway. Number one, good-looking guy. Number one, if it wasn't rapping, it was movie. It was poetry. It was writing. Who knows? He had such a talent outside of music that you had to consider that. Biggie maybe lesser, but his music was just pop though.
100%. Again, LL Cool J, hell of a career in television. Ludacris, hell of a career in movies. You look at those two things, and yeah, LL was, if I'm not mistaken, LL was on television, not so much the movies at first. But Tupac pretty much flew the door open, and obviously he's going to be in Boys, and he was supposed to be in Boys in the Hood.
Yep.
He was supposed to be. So he was going to be in a lot of movies that are classics to us. You'd be surprised how many, whether or not he would have been offered roles in any of these movies that we considered classics. The timelines changed, and everybody else is affected by it. So you never know what would have, what could have, should have, would have happened. But I'm angry. I'm always angry and frustrated that we never will know. I'm angry and frustrated. Let me just go down the list since we're here already. The angry and frustrated Denny list. I'm angry and frustrated that Biggie and Tupac don't live out their careers. I'm angry that Bad Boy didn't take care of their artists. Yeah. I'm angry that Pop Smoke isn't still here. That Nipsey Hussle isn't here. Yeah. I'm angry, and I'm angry because they should be here. There's no reason why they should not be here. So when you have people taken from us, from our hip hop culture, for no other reason than jealousy, hate, then it becomes frustrating. It's sad. It's sad. It becomes sad from time to time what hip hop has to go through when it comes to our, literally. I'm in a restaurant last night and I'm hearing R. Kelly and I'm just cringing. I'm like, all right. And I'm mad because
is it really impossible for you to separate the two?
I'm still working on it.
It's okay.
I'm still working on it.
Because there's a song or two that pop up. I'm like, this song, it slaps.
I'm not gonna lie. No. Don't get me wrong. No.
Ignition slaps, my guy. Ignition slaps. 12 plays a great record.
50,
come on now.
50, 60. I mean, but I'm talking about even in New York City. I don't know about the radio in Florida.
Yeah.
But yeah, New York City radio.
They're still playing?
They're not playing R. Kelly.
Okay.
On the radio. They're not playing
I don't hear him. I mean, I don't listen to much radio as is, transmitter radio, but when I do put on radio, I don't ever hear him.
Yeah, I mean, and you can look up on the radio. You can go to the radio station and see what You'll see what the most played songs are in their rotation, their programming.
Right.
And no, he's not in there. So it's you don't hear him for a while, then all of a sudden he pops up out of nowhere in a playlist somewhere, and you're just like, and you start dancing. Like me and my wife start dancing. I'm just like, oh. And but even with Bad Boy, Diddy's on the background of a bunch of songs. And mind you, Jadakiss writes Victory. Mm-hmm. Diddy performs Victory. I can't listen to Victory now. One of my favorite songs I can't listen to because he's performing on it.
Well, my thing is, my get out of jail free card for me is the fact that the parts of the songs that Diddy's on, I don't enjoy anyway, and I've never enjoyed anyway. So I can enjoy, the Benjamins and all that other songs because Mace's parts on songs and Biggie's part on songs are much more. Have always been my favorite parts of songs than Diddy's. So that's how I justify it.
Benjamin's first 16 bars is Diddy, written by Jadakiss.
Fuck me,
first 16 bars. That's the same thing with Victory. Yeah. Sun don't shine forever. It was only right we shine together. I'm like,
You think Mace says anything about this stuff? Because Mace hasn't really commented much on the podcast about that.
Doesn't need to. He's said enough.
And he was out early. He saw the bullshit. He's like, I'm out.
And again, I'm young. Mace just made $5 million. He sold me $5 million. He sold $5 million. Mm-hmm. Mace sold $5 million out the gate as a 21-year-old. Why would you run away from Bad Boy? I don't know. I'm young. I'm a baby. I don't know no better.
He found Jesus.
That was okay back then. Me being a young boy, I'm just like, you found Jesus after you wrote niggas done started something? What are you talking about? My guy. Why would you leave? I didn't understand it then. I understand it now.
Yeah.
If he posed a scenario like this, he said, imagine you getting robbed, and then you go over to Puff's house, and the guy who robbed you is right there. Mm-hmm. I had to rewind him saying that. Literally on YouTube. Literally. He's like, I said, what did he just say? Yeah, I got robbed by somebody. The guy who robbed me was sitting there. I went to Diddy's house and he was sitting right there with Diddy. I said, yeah. It was the Wild Wild West. He was like, I'm going to get killed. I might as well just move out of here because these guys is not playing fair. They're not playing fair. And they weren't. You see what happened to Biggie.
How much is Soul worth? And Mace, how much is Soul worth? And Mace knew. There you go.
How much is just Soul worth? Go. Mace had enough to be like, you know what, I'm good. And don't get me wrong. He had enough to say I'm good. Some people do not have enough to say I'm good. And I acknowledge that.
Right.
I acknowledge that. When he's like, oh, how much is your soul worth? That Mexican man with that toll?
Yep. You're right.
He's making $100 a month. He has 5 kids at home to feed. He has a wife. He has a house. He has bills to pay. He's trying to do the right things. He is.
I can sympathize with that. Yep.
He's trying to do the right things. He is. He's at this toll. But here comes this drug dealer giving me $1 million to look the other way. I know it's wrong. I don't live like that. I know it's wrong. But I got 5 kids to feed and a wife and bills. I'm gonna take this. And some people will be like, oh, bad. However, there is the other side to the coin. And sometimes in certain scenarios, there's this idea of having choice.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's this idea that you may have a choice, and in some instances, you really don't.
Exactly. Let me hit you with 2 NBA things.